For anyone who keeps track of gaming news, you would know Cyberpunk 2077 should have been out in November, but instead it was delayed for a third time, leaving some gamers outraged. Despite CD Projekt Red's decision, the anticipation for its launch cannot be understated. Now it would be compatible with 9th gen hardware. As Cyberpunk 2077 approaches its new release date, I've decided to look at Cloudpunk, a narrative-driven adventure game by Ion Lands and published by Maple Whispering Limited. At face value, it plays the part of being a cyberpunk game, but it's too shallow and tedious to be worthwhile. You play as Rania, a young woman from the Eastern Peninsula, as she comes to Novalis to work for the suspect delivery service, Cloudpunk. Control guides her on delivering packages to their clients, but knowing what they are is forbidden, let alone unwrap them. Nevertheless, Rania does these jobs to make a living, and to purchase a new body for Camus, her AI companion in the form of a dog. Throughout the night, Rania encounters many individuals with their own problems, some of them bringing up the name Cora. Despite wanting to finish her shift, Rania learns more about Cora, and soon gets into scenarios she didn't anticipate. As Rania, you'll be delivering packages, which gives you limbs, the game's currency for your efforts. You can spend her earnings on improving her hover, the vehicle she drives, but in truth they didn't make much of a difference. It can take damage and it needs refueling occasionally, though it's bizarre Rania doesn't get hungry, thirsty and is immune to death. Also, you can decorate Rania's apartment, but you can't interact with her purchases, making their inclusion worthless. As such, Cloudpunk's progression is trite, even replacing your hover early on doesn't handle any different. Occasionally, some missions require you to make a choice, however the ramifications had little to do with Rania. Regardless of the situation, she'll have to go on foot to fulfill her goal, yet the camera will switch angles depending on where she is. Luckily these are offset by the optional third and first person cameras, though the default can be disruptive when navigating through Novalis. The game's pacing suffers in how it guides you to your next objective, as the dialogue from characters tend to halt your progress. Although the voice acting is adequate for the most part, the marker for your next delivery shows up after when they finish talking, if not when they're about to conclude. It's a shame, because Rania's interactions with Control and Camus are one of the few positives, yet they hinder your progress due to the extensive dialogue. Other shipments go across multiple maps, and while you can find out where Rania is, in comparison to her objective, there's no option to view each location that comprises Novalis. Furthermore, they're not distinctive from one another, not to mention frame stuttering occurring when arriving in new districts. Aesthetically, however, Cloudpunk looks and sounds fantastic. For anyone who likes the visuals of Minecraft mixed with Blade Runner, the game has these elements as you traverse the soaking neon-lit city, while listening to the Vangelis-inspired soundtrack. Combine this with the echoing voices from advertisements, in addition to traffic Rania maneuvers around, Cloudpunk creates the illusion of a dense, lifelike metropolis. Also, the controls are acceptable when driving your hover, but don't expect depth when it comes to handling. Aside from these qualities, Cloudpunk is sadly a dull experience. The visuals, sound design and music, while Rania does her deliveries, are impressive, but the waffling dialogue, bolstered by an unsatisfactory gameplay loop, quickly became a snooze fest. Cloudpunk delivers on style, but not on substance.